Keep to yourself, stranger.
Hey.
Got it?
I said stop, you jackass.
Blasted fool!
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do?
Yes, indeed, bad boys. What are you gonna do when the cops come after you, huh? That is the real question. How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to another episode of The Mind of Mando. I'm your host, Armando Ortega. And fun fact, if you guys heard some sirens when that song was playing, they weren't cop sirens, they were firefighter sirens, and they were real. There actually is a code 3 call currently happening around where I live. But, you know, that's the life. That is the life. So why am I playing this song today? Well, because I like to show cops. And the more modern show, Life PD, you know. Let me fix my mic. I feel like it's too far away from me real quick. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, I'll just... Boom. There we go. Perfect. So, how do you say? I have it on my podcast arm now. So, you know, I'm drinking my tea, which actually, this is the Raven Clan tea that a few episodes back I told you guys I got. I'm still not, like, it's lasted me a good while. I mean, like, if I drank it, like, every day, twice a day, I would have been done with it within, like, 4 days, most likely. Or maybe within the week. But, you know, I have other teas I drink, and, you know, I like them. Well, anyways, back to the original topic. I like Cops, the show, and Life PD. It's amazing. And it just shows the side of police work that many don't see, you know? And that's actually a funny thing that I found pretty hilarious was the fact that when 2020 happened, and you know everything that happened in 2020, the riots, the looting, the destruction in the name of protesting peacefully, you know, I said that very sarcastically if you didn't notice. And the fact that some cops were pretty dumb in what they did that year. It was just, it was a bad year. And with COVID, you know. But the main way I can describe 2020, aside from mass panic, is one word. Hypocrisy. That's how I describe 2020. The hypocrisy. How? Why? You know? Or maybe another word. Delusion. That's another word, yeah. Aside from the whole pandemic thing going on, everybody was taking that thing seriously. Businesses were shutting down. Regular people were buying so much toilet paper for some reason. I don't know why. Pro tip: get a bidet. They're pretty cheap in Amazon. A basic one. If you want an all fancy one, then yeah, get ready to shell out some more money. But bidets, just take the time. One, clean up your toilet, but two, take the time to get the tools and install it into your toilet. Believe me, even if the toilet paper shortage isn't a thing anymore until the foreseeable future, how do you say it? It's something that, you know, we all forget to restock on toilet paper, you know, at least a few times throughout our life, where we forget to restock on toilet paper and we ended up already using the last roll. So a bidet. Oh my god, this is so disgusting. A bidet. It's gonna help you. It works wonders, and it just makes you feel so good, you know? And it's actually better than toilet paper. Like, I remember telling my lady that, like, you know, I don't like, even though I have to from time to time, I don't like using the bathroom at work because they don't have bidets there. They're not that fancy. But how do you call it? Bidets just make you cleaner, makes you feel cleaner, makes you feel like you're having a crappy day, you're having a crappy time. Maybe you feel really gross or something like that. Bidets, that and wet wipes, but bidets are way better because wet wipes, even the flushable ones, oh, they're flushable. Anything's flushable that'll go down the drain when you flush the toilet, but they're not good. I mean, like, I don't know how many times people have to replay that. Oh, how do you call it? What was that called? Those videos where sewer workers, whatever, would be like, "Hey guys, stop flushing things down the toilet. That's not your waste." Because these pipes get clogged up, and that's how you get leaks, and that's how you get the whole area just smelling so rancid, rotten, and horrid, you know. But yeah, 1 second. Let me find something real quick. Boom, Oh, you guys like Death Clock? Guess what? They played their first show like a night or two ago for the first time. Let me put on some Death Clock. You might not be able to hear it, but I'm gonna hear it. The song I was just thinking about. Listen to this. Yeah, they played their first show the other night in 3 years in Philadelphia. Tried to say Monday to go, couldn't. Listen to this part. Yeah, it's riffs like that that just make me miss my guitar. It's just like, oh my god, I miss it. But yeah, anyways, what was I going with everything? I forgot what I was already talking about. I get distracted so much. Good thing I have a full battery and everything. I just finished charging my stuff. So I talked about that. Well, anyways, let me just go back to that whole tea stuff. Anyways, yeah, I ordered new tea, except it's taking a little longer to get here. They have, instead of the Raven Clan this time, because I still have some more, I'm actually drinking a fresh brewed tea right now. But they also have the Eagle Bearer, which is one of your nicknames in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, despite that game being pure garbage, just like Brotherhood. And I ordered this Foggy City. When you say Foggy City and you're from the Bay, you might just think Daly City, because that place is always hella foggy every day of the year. But from people who aren't from the Bay, they'll think of SF, and that's exactly what it is. Foggy City, SF has some lavender. I'm excited. I'm really excited for that. Hold on, I'm drinking a sip of my tea. Oh my god, that's so good. Well, anyways, I'm leaving my window open and my AC on because I noticed how it's not really a huge factor if I just tend to have my music that much louder and speak a little bit closer to the mic. My voice picks up a lot more than the background noises don't really take priority. But yeah, so hypocrisy. There we go. That's what I was talking about. The whole reason is this. Everything was shut down, right? In 2020. Businesses, schools, everything. Just everything. And there were so much restrictions. Everybody has to stay 6 feet apart. Everybody is having to wear a mask. Mask is mandated. And people were freaking out if they saw anybody across the street in an empty outside road and be like, oh my god, where's your mask? Where's your mask? Oh, this and that. Yeah. You know, even though those masks didn't help at all. It just gave people the illusion that they were safe. You know. Anyways, so that was how it is throughout the entire year of 2020. You could not work if you did not have a mask on at all. If you didn't have a mask and they have a mask available for you, guess what? Go home. I guess you're not working today, you know? I mean, even to this day, it's 2022. People have been over COVID for like by the end of 2020. Anyways, you see that, well, here where I live, the buses and the trains, you still can't get on without a mask. So it's still in effect for them. My job, they don't really, you know, trip about it. But, you know, anyways. So yeah, it's Hold on, let me do something real quick. So yeah, it's not really as strict, you know. So, anyways, here's the thing. What were the rules? Wear a mask. Only essential workers are allowed to go out and work, you know. So tattoo shops and you know, herbal tea stores or anything that just wasn't like gas stations, grocery stores, and you know, stuff to help the city. Those were the only ones deemed essential, and that was about it. Well, anyways, one of the things that one of the rules was no mass gatherings. You cannot gather in such a huge group of numbers, meaning you can't have barbecues in your backyard. You can't get together at the park. The parks are even shut down. I don't know about where you guys live. And then what was the whole thing? Yeah, I love this song. And yeah, but what was going on during the riots? And yes, I'm going to call them the riots. They weren't peaceful protests. That's ridiculous. They were riots. One time, me and my buddy, I'm not going to mention who, I have multiple friends, we went to his family's place to bring them things to defend themselves with that were legal. So don't worry about that. We had to pass a specific city because the family lived close. We witnessed people in this major shopping center breaking into businesses, setting things on fire. And I'm like, what are you protesting? What are you protesting? You know, that's ridiculous. It got to the point where businesses had to reinforce their windows and their doors and everything just to keep people out. So if there were damages, it would be kept at a very, very minimum. For good reason, because of rioters. They were just rioting. You know, they weren't under the guise of protesting. It was, we'll say we're protesting, but we'll break into these stores because I really was looking at those pair of Jordans, you know? Anyways, in downtown San Diego, when the elections were happening, let me just bring this part. When the elections were happening between Biden and Trump, guess what? Businesses were boarding up already. Even though the riots hadn't happened in quite some time, they were boarding up their businesses. And let me tell you something. They weren't boarding up those businesses because they were afraid of how Trump supporters would react when Trump wasn't reelected. No, we all know why they were boarding up their businesses, right? Exactly. Well, anyways, back to 2020. So yeah, mass gatherings, no go. Why? Because we don't want people to get together and then get the virus, and then everybody go to their separate ways, meet up other people, and then they spread their virus, etc., 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 and onward. You know, I get that. That kind of makes sense. The thing is, when the protests were going, here I am, when the riots were going on and everything, and there were so many people gathering at once, not wearing masks, but full face masks because they don't want it to be ID'd because they're cowards. They were going out and protesting in mass numbers, in huge groups. You would think that that's just, oh my God, the virus is spreading like wildfire, literally. Oh no. You know what? The news came out saying, hey, the protesting, quote unquote, peaceful protesters are actually lowering the virus spreading around. How does that work? Well, the virus is sympathetic to the cause? Okay. Well, anyways, and the whole, like, you can't be at a bar without ordering food. Oh, yeah, because that stops COVID. Okay. Well, anyways, I'm sure I'm going to have this CDC, whatever it is. Let me put a different thing on. Okay, I put this a little bit louder so you guys can hear it. You were listening to The Gears by Death Clock from their album, the Death Album 2. So, how do you call it? Where am I going with all this? Because that was a form of hypocrisy. It's like, don't gather in large numbers because we don't want this virus to spread. Oh, the huge mass gathering of rioters destroying the city and everything. They actually help slow down the virus. They actually are helping. How does that change? You know, that just makes no sense. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom. Oh yeah, we're gonna put the strictest rules because we're gonna make sure that California gets clean and disease free first, etc., etc., etc. So what did he do? He made all these mandates, all these rules. He was declaring martial law without officially saying martial law. You know, what is martial law? Basically, martial law means no one can leave their house ever. You know, not until you get the green light to go outside. It's going to cause some problems and everything. But, you know, because he didn't officially declare it, people were still able to go out, you know, because it's just like this whole thing. Anyways, so he made all these things. Wear masks. Don't get in mass gatherings. Stay indoors if you can help it, and this and that, you know. So what did he do? Naturally, he went to his vineyard and had a maskless party. And then people took photos, people took videos, posted them on the internet, and people were calling him out for his hypocrisy. That's the whole thing. That's what 2020 was. Just a whole hypocrisy fest, you know? Why am I bringing this up? Why am I bringing this up? Well, because of two things. One, to show how ridiculous 2020 was and how just dumb it truly is. Although there were positives, and I'll probably discuss positives at the end or maybe in a different video. But two, because 2020 was the year where any little thing that the rioters did not like, if it happened, they were gonna go riot. Like what? We all know the whole George Floyd stuff. You know, we have the cop is dumb. He's hella dumb. I've arrested people who've been resisting in the past. And not once did I kneel on their neck and then keep kneeling on their neck after they've been cuffed. That's just... Oh, and keep in mind, someone who's cuffed doesn't mean they're not dangerous. They can still be dangerous. It's happened plenty of times where they can still access a firearm or a knife and everything and still be able to shoot and fight, even with their hands cuffed behind their back. So that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, by cuffing somebody's hands behind their back and them laying on the floor, you have now eliminated a huge percentage that they will become a dangerous person. You know, at that point, you could just search them. That's it. Well, anyways, a couple things happened in 20. Well, one thing that I'm going to talk about today is 20 was from like 2018. The other thing was in 2020. It just shows that you have two situations that were deemed negative on the same side, but one of those situations, after more information came out, was actually shown to be the correct thing to happen. While the other one, it's, hey, you know, you screwed up and you're going to pay for it big time. And that's what I keep telling you guys. Yeah, I'm pro cop. I'm 100% this. I'm pro cop. The thing is, you got to recognize when the people you're supporting, when there's a couple of bad eggs, and you got to call them out on it and hope they get their just desserts and fight for that to happen. And what are the examples? Well, one, I'll give you this example right off the bat in 2020. So here's the thing. There's this man. I don't know if you guys ever really know or ever had to live through a situation where you have to deal with somebody who's trespassing on private property. The way it goes is, let's say you own a piece of land that is your private property, whether it's your place of living, whether you make it into a place of business, whatever, you know, you ultimately get to say of who can and who cannot enter your property, and that does extend to law enforcement. Who can and cannot enter your property. If you're running a business, typically what it is you're going to have a gate or whatever surrounding your business, or you're going to have the front doors locked, closed, whatever, have cameras inside, outside, to make sure that when you're not operating, that when things are closed, nobody is allowed to enter your business, because if they do, that is trespassing. On top of other things, depending on how they entered. So that's your say. If you don't want people there, you can say how you don't want people there. No one can do anything against that. In fact, you can call police to get people trespassed. And if that, basically what that means is, if someone keeps coming back, you're telling them to leave and they don't leave, the cops can come and be like, hey, you gotta leave. We're gonna write you a cite. we're gonna have you trespass, because if you come back, they might, because cops typically won't arrest them at that moment. Is like, if you come back now that you're officially trespassed and we get a call to come to get you again, guess what? You're going to jail. 100% you're going to jail. And yeah, that's usually how it goes. Of course, if the person trespassing is even resisting the cops at that point, the cops are just going to take them to jail anyways. So yeah, that's how it is. Trespassing, people who enter your property who you don't want there, who shouldn't be there without your approval. Well, anyways, in Los Angeles, in Boyle Heights, it says this happened in, let me check when this happened. This happened April 27th. So basically what happened is there was a call of a trespasser in Boyle Heights. And what happened was there's this officer, LAPD officer Frank Hernandez, along with his partner. They went to go respond to the call at the location in Boyle Heights. So they get there and they see the guy who's trespassing. Of course, the guy is giving them a tough time, but the tough time he's giving them is verbally. That's it. That's it. Verbally, not physically. Not anything else, just verbally. And guess what? Words, yeah, they may hurt your feelings, but they're just that. They're words. That's it. That's all they have the power to do, is hurt your feelings if you don't toughen up your skin. So anyways, they catch up to the guy. They damn, that's kind of loud actually. So they catch up to the guy. And when they catch up to the guy, they're speaking to him. Guys kind of give him a little bit of lip, but they tell him, put your hands behind your back, stand there, spread your legs, yada yada. And the trespasser, he's doing it. He's complying. Correct? Exactly. 1 second. Oh man, this tea is good. And what we're listening at this point, if you guys can hear this, hold on. Kind of ominous, huh? It's the soundtrack for AC Valhalla, and I'm drinking the Raven Clan tea, and it just feels incredible. Anyways, so even though the guy's giving the officer lip, he's still complying with everything the officer is ordering him to do. Okay, good. There you go. And the reason I keep going back to my own personal experiences, because I've experienced this myself firsthand, and I know how things can be and how emotionally invested someone can get. But you still have a standard to meet with. And words, they're words. In the end of the day, no matter how much stuff they tell you, they're words. Somebody even threatened one time. I'll try and find the video and see if I can post it up here. Somebody threatened to cut my head off and then find my body in the cuts in TJ. Okay. Well, then again, that guy was also crying because I had him handcuffed and put in the back of my vehicle. But there you go. They're just words. I had another guy who was just getting cited, and he started talking crap about my mother. And keep in mind, I love my mother to death. She is everything to me. And I don't appreciate when people talk mess about her. But at the end of the day, I had to keep professionalism, and I had to, just take it on the cheek. That's it. Boom. Over. In the end of the day, you still get to go home. In the end of the day, you still get to go to the people you care about. In the end of the day, they're still the one that has to pay a citation. That's what it is. So this Officer Hernandez, or former LAPD officer Hernandez, he got mad. He got irritated with the guy, and he thought the best way to deal with this man was to ignore him, get him completely handcuffed, search his body for any weapons, and once they were done, just put him in the back of his patrol vehicle and close the door and just let the guy talk whatever he wants to talk while he's taking care of his business. Of course, that didn't happen. The way former LAPD officer Hernandez decided to handle the situation when he got irritated was to grab the dude and start wailing on him and just beating the absolute snot out of this guy. And guess what? Not only did his partner's body cam capture it, he captured it on his own body camera because he's had it rolling the entire time. It's up in YouTube for everybody to see. This happened in April 27th of 2020. And then to make matters even worse against him, there was somebody who was recording the entire interaction who captured everything. Everything. Believe me, whenever there's a use of force, because use of force is never pretty at all. Whenever there's a use of force and I hear about it and I see it, I always wait for all the context as much as possible in order to see like why did that happen. Maybe it was justifiable. It's just others were too early to judge this and that. No, this guy was wrong off the bat. I was just like, oh hell no, you know. Well, anyways, here's the thing that happened in April 27th. So when that happened, the officer, he only sustained like a small hand injury. Anybody who fights or does any physical work where it includes having a fist, there's such a thing as a boxer fracture and everything. That's it. It's like, I think in your pinky bone, whatever, like right underneath it where your knuckles at. I had one, but when I told my friend about it, because he had one too, I described him my pain, and he was like, dude, I don't think you just had a fracture. You had like a hairline fracture. And I was like, hairline fractures, it's just one bad move, and it's completely broken. So I don't know. I never went to the hospital, but it just went good. Anyways, he sustained a minor hand injury, while the other guy he beat up had a bunch of cuts in his face and everything like that. It got to the point where district attorney was like, yeah, in this case, we believe that force was neither legally necessary or reasonable, you know, because you watch it and it's just like, yeah, this dude's, he's talking mess here and there. That's it. What you think was justified to beat him up? Oh, he made fun of you? He made fun of your family? Okay, they're words. He doesn't know who you are. They're words. I've been threatened with my life. I had other people threaten my family. But they're just words. That's it. Because believe it or not, even though you're not out there wearing masks, even though you're not out there concealing everything that makes you identifiable or anything like that, believe me, or people who you've had run-ins while at work, if you're wearing regular clothes, they just won't recognize you. And it actually happens a lot more than you think. I mean, I had the same hairstyle, the same skin tone, the same glasses. The only difference was I was wearing regular clothes instead of a uniform, and people whom I've arrested, who I've had contact in the past, would see me and just not know who I am, because they would just look at me, look away, and I look at them like, hey, what's up? And then they just look at me hella confused, and then they took them a while and be like, oh crap, and then we just talk, you know. But again, here's the reason. A lot of people are like, how does that happen? Well, because I treated people with respect, and they understood at the end of the day, the only reason they landed in trouble was because of their own doing. So yeah, treat people with respect. Even when they're mean to you, treat them with respect. Anyways, so I say anyways a lot. I gotta stop that. So after everything what was seen and laid out on the table and everything, LAPD officer Frank Hernandez was stripped of all his power, authoritative power, of all his liberties and everything, and arrested in June 9th. Well, at least June 9th was when it was announced, but he was fired. He no longer took over a role of a law enforcement officer or anything, and he was arrested. He pled not guilty, of course, during his hearing, and it says a civil suit has also been filed against the city of Los Angeles and LAPD on behalf of the victim, Richard Castillo. I guess the guy he beat up and everything. Anyways, there I go again. Frank Hernandez then this is the last news I could find on him. Even though he pled not guilty, there was overwhelming amounts of evidence to prove, to basically justify taking this to trial. So the last news that I heard was in December 2nd of 2020, where it said that they're taking this to trial, and Hernandez is due back in court on January 19th of 2021. I wish I had more to say about this whole thing, but I don't. Because for a while, I've been trying to find out more and more what's going on with this, because we're already in 2022 in August. We're already over a year and a half since his trial and everything. But there's no updates. None whatsoever. I've only seen two things. No, actually, one thing that said that Hernandez was convicted, no longer charged, convicted of the assault charges. But then when I went to try and read it, it was like deleted. Had this weird message and then just deleted. And I was like, wow, that's weird. But other than that, there's just no updates. So it's very possible that his trial is still ongoing. Still very ongoing. He had a GoFundMe page up. I don't think it made much money, but I got to read more up on that. But yeah. So I'm assuming at this point that it's ongoing, but if I find more info, you best believe it, just like Lo en Paciencia, I'm going to be updating this place. So that was an example of a police officer who had authority, a police officer who was dealing with somebody they deemed unruly, and they just had a complete power trip, because power trips do happen in any line of work. But it's worse when it comes down to law enforcement, because law enforcement actually carries weapons and they actually have the power to arrest you and send you to jail, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, well, anyways, that was an example. And I totally agree. That guy needs to go to jail. If convicted, he faces 3 years. 3 years of prison, I think, or in jail, whatever. But yeah. The guy he beat up, he's still alive. You know, he didn't cause any trauma or anything like that. But yeah. Anyways, that was one example. That cop deserves to be in jail. Second example is something that happened back home. Yes, I believe this happened in 2018 and everything. What was I doing? March 2018. What was I doing in March 2018? I was still working as enforcement for the trolleys down here. So yeah, I was still doing that in 2018. I didn't read this story until months and months later, but I recognize everything. You know, being back home in SF, even though I think I said a couple episodes back that I feel like I recognize the streets a lot more down here in San Diego than in SF. Whenever a picture is brought up, it could just be of a random street. I could almost immediately, every single time, just tell exactly where that place is at. I mean, there are some photos my lady was showing about her aunties and trips and SF and everything like that. In every photo she would pass by, I'd be like, that's Union Square. That's Pier 39. That's Lombard. That's the Mission. That's Richland. That's the Sunset District. Golden Gate, this and that. You know, Golden Gate Park, better said. And it's like, I just knew where they were because, you know, born and raised. So basically what happened in March of 2018, and this happened, it says it occurred around 10:35 at night near Cap and 21st Street. Yeah, I know exactly where that's at. So the story goes that, well, at least from what you would get, because remember, a lot of conclusions and jumping to conclusions occur way before official evidence gets released, because that's how people work nowadays. Emotions and what they want to believe and their agendas. And that's it. That's it. Because there was mass protests in SF, and how do you call it? Yeah, there was mass protests because, you know, 19-year-old Latino boy was murdered by the murderous, bloodthirsty, power-abusing police. Just murdered. What? Why? He was so young. He was so bright. And his life was just taken away because the police are racist, despite SFPD being very, very diverse. But they were racist. Just pure racist. What happened? I'll read this to you. And I'll stop along the way to explain it because I also follow this story. So, it says 10 police officers fired 99 rounds at a 19-year-old who was hiding in the trunk of a Honda Civic, killing the man last week in San Francisco's Mission District, my home. Police revealed Monday night at a town hall meeting. 99 rounds. And believe me, I thought that was a lot. You know? 99 rounds for one guy. There was a story that happened fairly recently that they shot like 200 rounds, I believe. I can double check that, but later. Hold on. Oh man, tea is so good. It's delicious. It's actually a very beautiful day today. Remember the other episode I said that it was sunny but still kind of like hazy looking and everything like that? It's actually, there's clouds out in the distance from where I could see it. I'll probably take a photo of it now. My house isn't presentable, but there's clouds out in the distance, and but where I'm at, it's just blue, clear skies, and it's beautiful actually. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So the article continues. Hundreds of Mission residents packed the auditorium at Cesar Chavez Elementary School for the meeting. I went to Cesar Chavez Elementary for summer school, actually. It was pretty cool. Including the family of Jesus Adolfo Delgado Duarte, the victim of the officer-involved shooting. Police released several videos of the incident, which occurred at 10:35 p.m. last Tuesday, speaking back in 2018 terms, near Cap and 21st Streets. It began when two people reported being robbed at gunpoint by the occupants of a black Honda Civic. There you go. It started off because two people reported to the police that they were robbed at gunpoint. They were carjacked. Several of the police cars arrived soon after, and officers begin yelling. Oh wait, let me back up. I missed the paragraph. It says the video, and remember, you can find this all on YouTube. The video shows Delgado Duarte jumping into the trunk of a black Honda just before the patrol car arrives. The Honda is prevented from fleeing. So basically, I don't know if you guys are familiar with a felony stop. So what it says is that it said right here, it began when two people reported being robbed at gunpoint by the occupants of a black Honda Civic. So people driving black Honda Civic jumped out, robbed two people at gunpoint, and then went back to the black Honda Civic. And those two people that were robbed reported it to police and were able to give the description of the vehicle. Soon after, I'm assuming the same area. Soon after, police find the vehicle matching the description, and you're gonna hear that a lot when you read these type of stories, matching the description. And a lot of people, when it comes down to individual people, they try and spin that as racism. Like, oh, just because you match the description, like that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. There's this actual video on YouTube where it shows that, I think it was a Life PD episode, where it showed there was a report out of a man who was strong-arming people, who was running from the police. And they said, black shirt, gray shorts, these colored shoes. And one of the police who was helping try and find that guy locates a guy with a black shirt, gray shorts, same type of shoes. And they're like, hey, listen, just stop. You do match the description. We need to have a PID, positive ID, this, and that. And the guy was like, that's fine. I'll comply. It was later announced in their radios that they found the guy they were originally looking for. And it just so happened that the man who was minding his own business was wearing the same exact thing as the other guy and was just looking the same exact way. That's what they mean by matching the description. You have to eliminate the factors, you know? Hey, there's somebody who's described exactly as the person we're looking for. Could be him, could be not. But more often than not, that is them. This, and that. So, yeah. Well, anyways, they found the vehicle matching the description. And from the video, you can tell it's a felony stop. A felony stop is basically when police pull over a car that they know is stolen, or the person driving it is dangerous, this and that, has a warrant. So instead of, getting out of the vehicle, walking up to the car they just pulled over, going up to the windows like, "Hi, sir, may I see license, registration, this and that," they'll get out of the car with the lights still going, and they'll pull their guns out using door as shield protection and everything in case a firefight were to happen, and pointing their weapons at the vehicle, and then giving orders for the occupants of that vehicle to come out. That's a felony stop. You got to be very careful with those. Well, anyways, so the Honda was prevented from fleeing. Excuse me. It says several other police cars arrived soon after, and officers began yelling at the driver, identified it as 19-year-old Victor Navarro Flores, to exit the vehicle. He eventually does and is detained. So you have somebody in the middle of a felony stop with multiple police officers with their guns out. You can see it all in the video. They tell the driver to get out, and the driver complies and does it, who's also Latino. He does it, complies, and then he's detained. Notice how he's not beat up. Notice how he's not shot. He complied, and they detained him. Boom. Continues saying, officers then turned their attention to Delgado Duarte, who was lying in the Honda's trunk, trunk with the lid ajar. Officers yell at him in English and in Spanish. He doesn't leave the trunk. So you have a young Latino. In the Mission District, it is predominantly Hispanic Latin people. That's the neighborhood I'm from. It's what I grew up in and everything. So remember earlier when I said SFPD has one of the most diverse police departments ever? It's the truth. Because SF is the whole Bay Area really is a very, very diverse place. You have your Latins, your Hispanics, your blacks, your whites, your Asians, everything. Any language underneath the sun, you will have somebody who speaks that language in the department. It got to the point where SFPD offers even more pay for people who are bilingual, trilingual, everything like that, So it helps a lot to have people like that. So because you were in the Mission District, because the guy you're trying to get out of the trunk is Latino, you're going to speak to him in English because it's likely that he speaks English, and you're going to speak to him in Spanish because even if he doesn't speak English, you'll know he speaks Spanish, and there you go. So they exhaust it. They exhaust what they can, yelling at him, giving him orders to get out of the trunk because he has the trunk ajar, meaning he has it open. But he's not getting out. He's not complying. So they're like, it's not a language barrier anymore because they're speaking to him in both languages that he very likely knows. Anyways, there we go again. According to the police, an officer fired a beanbag round. It's true. You could actually see the round hit him while he's in the trunk and bounce off. Like I said, the video's on YouTube. An officer fired a beanbag round on Delgado Duarte, and then Delgado Duarte fired a gun from inside the trunk. That's when officers fired their weapon, killing him. In the video, they do you the courtesy of not only showing the commands being given in English and in Spanish for him to come out and him not complying, but they also play and then slow down and replay the beanbag getting shot at him after they exhausted the commands. And after that, they also show and then stop it, then slow it down and show again when Duarte pulled out a gun and started shooting at police. And they zoom in right at the gun. Oh, it was self-defense. No, you're not. You can't claim self-defense if you're the one robbing innocent people at gunpoint. That's not, you're a bad person. And here's the thing, your homie that was rolling with you, he came out and complied. And guess what? He was there alive. Not hurt, not beaten up. He was alive because he complied, even though he was helping you out. And there goes Duarte, believing that no one should be able to touch him. And not only that, it gets to the point where he actively tries to kill a police officer. So what happens? They light him up. 99 rounds? Yep, 99 rounds right at him. After the shooting, an 18-year-old woman who was still inside the car was ordered out and detained. She was apparently uninjured. They got lucky there. Oh man, it's kind of funny. I gotta admit, it's so terrible. She was uninjured. Officers recovered a 9mm handgun from the Honda's trunk, police said. So he had a gun. I mean, it's clear as day. Police have not yet released the names of the 10 officers who fired the weapons. Again, this is an article from 2018, so their names have been released at this point. What else does it say? A visibly upset crowd reacted to the videos, at times shouting "murderers" in Spanish. Susana Rojas, a spokeswoman for Delgado Duarte's family, said, "We don't know what happened that night, but that wasn't who they knew. He was good, son." That's what they all say. That's what they all say. Look, it's just, it's hard at that point, you know, because, you know, I still have a very close relationship with my sisters and with my mother. I love them to death, and they feel the same way to me. We talk every week, even though we live like hundreds of miles away from each other, and we still keep in touch after all this time, after all this distance. So I know my mother knows me as a good boy. This and that. I may have done work that is just very dangerous, very demanding, and very risky, but at the end of the day, she still sees me as her little son, her youngest and her only son. So I try and when mothers go like, "Oh, my son, this and that, he was such a good boy, yada yada, this and that," I try and feel sympathy, you know, and try and, instead of being like, "Oh, he was such a good boy," you know, apparently not, because like what he was doing, this and that. And, you know, I'm not saying that that's not true, you know, that's not a valid reasoning, but I try and see, like, there's these mothers that genuinely, one of two things, genuinely know that their child is doing something wrong, but constantly try and deny it because that's not the son that they want or believe they are. Or two, you have mothers who just absolutely have no idea that their child is living a double life, basically. He could have been so sweet, so caring, so giving, so respectful, so loving at home with his mother, but then as soon as he hits the streets, he wanted to be wild. He wanted to do something like dangerous, you know. And unfortunately, if that's the case, that wild, dangerous stuff he wanted to do ended up costing him his life. So, article continues. Rojas described Delgado Duarte as family-oriented man who was saving up to buy his father a car so the older man wouldn't have to walk so much after having a toe amputated. There you go. He was trying to do this for his father. Maybe that's why he robbed those people. We don't know. We can't ask him. But that's still not a good reason. My father had his toe amputated, and I just want to buy him a truck so he wouldn't have to walk so much. What kind of truck were you trying to buy him? Like a new one right out the lot? Yeah, those are nice. I had a 1995 Ford F-150 XL extended cab. It only costed me $600, and guess what? It ran like a beauty. Yeah, the steering wheel sucked. There was no cup holders, but it still ran beautifully. And it was only $600. There's cheap cars out there that can still run. And guess what? I did maintenance on all my oh damn, like, hear that siren? Jesus. Anyways, and guess what? Oh my god. I hate when they do that. It had problems with my vehicles, and I had no experience in working on vehicles. Had no idea what anything was underneath that hood. But I decided that it was time for me to learn. It was time for me to develop a new skill, and guess what? I did it, and I enjoyed it, and I kept at it. So yeah. So it's like really still no excuse. Delgado Duarte's death is being investigated by several agencies, including the police department's homicide detail and internal affairs division and the San Francisco District Attorney's Office. That was the end of the article. The reason I brought this one up is an example of, even though it didn't say it in this article, there's other articles out there where people have jumped to a conclusion before evidence were to come out, before everything were to be coming out. Because this is an example of what was being portrayed at its start as an innocent young Latin boy who was just murdered by police in his neighborhood. Instead of what it was, a young Latin boy who went out robbing people at gunpoint, refused to comply with police, and actively shot at them before forcing their hand and ending him. And it's just like, that's why it's important to really look at everything and keep such a broad, open mind when it comes down to these type of situations. If you want to fight, whatever fight you want to fight, make sure that you're in the right. Make sure that you have a reason to do so, because in the end of the day, if you're so determined to stick of where you want to stick at, but then you have just the overwhelming majority, the overwhelming amount of evidence prove that you are absolutely wrong, it's gonna be hard for some people, well, for a lot of people, to just be like, you know what, I'm wrong. I wish I wasn't, but I am. Instead, you're probably going to meet a lot of people that go like, hey, listen, everything you're believing in and standing up for has been proven false. And here's the undeniable evidence that is false. And you will have people say, no, no. And then they'll call you a phobic, an ist, an ism, anything underneath the sun that ends in those type of sounds. Because you dared, showed evidence, you know? And that's the whole thing. You'll have, how Bill Burr said, it's kind of comparable of when, you know, men, and this is solely for the men, when you have an argument with your girl, and you know how women are just very passionate and how they're arguing and everything, passionate. How do you say it? When you start making a point against them, there's not all of them, but this happens when you start making a point and your point is actually ending up being correct, and they start seeing that your point is actually correct, they'll start attacking you personally. They'll take every single form of trauma you have ever entrusted inside of them and just start just brewing that in a pot, this vile stew, just to make sure that all your insecurities are put in there, all your emotions and traumas are just boiled together, and then throw it on you. And when they do that, all you can do is take a knee. Take a knee like you're in the NFL. Run out the clock. You're just barely ahead, but you know you're winning. I mean, like, people call it shameful and cheap. It's all right. Take a knee. Let him just... As long as they're not touching you, just let them talk their mess, because you know they're right. You know you're right. They know you're right. And just, that's it. That's all you can do. And that's basically with other people when it comes down to different form of ideas and beliefs, etc., etc., etc. It could expand to anything, really, anything. When you have those people who really just are so determined to make their own beliefs and agenda stick, to be the definite factual thing that they feel like it should be, any amount of proof, any amount of evidence that show that they're not in the right, they'll refuse to acknowledge it. They'll refuse to see it. And instead of being like, actually, because of this, X, Y, and Z, seeing this, seeing that, showing how this happened and everything like that, I could actually tell you that what you're bringing forward to me is incorrect. They'll just be like, well, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're a phobic, this, and that. And, you know, that's it. That's how you know that you're right. They'll never admit it. They'll most likely will never apologize, but they'll know, you know, and we're all victims to that. we're not all squeaky clean, super smart or anything like that. But I want to bring up those two examples and everything. Just, there are police officers, contrary to popular belief, that when they do something wrong, when they do something that it's not correct, they do actually pay. They do actually get called out. They do actually have to face the music. But we also learned that just because a majority of people say, hey, listen, they only did this to this innocent minority or whatever because they're a minority, it's very strongly suggested that you just wait before you draw a conclusion, and wait if any other evidence comes out, because guess what? If you're super like hell-bent on just believing that, yeah, something bad happened to a minority because they're a minority, but then later on get proven that, hey, that's actually not the case at all, this person was a complete monster, and it's just like, you know, it's going to be harder to just accept the fact that the facts are the facts. And that's basically how it is and everything. One second. Oh man, it's my second day off. I got to get back to work tomorrow and everything like that. I know I was going to do a podcast yesterday, but the thing was, I needed to help my lady out with some things she needed to do. She called off yesterday and today. She's out actually working for Uber right now, trying to make some cash, so good on her. We cleaned up somewhat today. The house is somewhat clean. I still got to like clean up the bathroom. We actually went to a grocery outlet yesterday, and we bought a lot of groceries, like a lot, because we needed to. We went like over 2 weeks without buying groceries. And, yeah, we were like, you know what? We're not buying any more food, like ordering out or anything. We have plenty of food inside the house. We got spinach. We got mixed greens. We got sausages. We got lunch meat. We got bread. There's this place called Bruger Bagels that is actually very, very delicious. And something that we love doing is going there from time to time, because we don't really get days off together anymore. So when we do, if we're not making breakfast together at home, we go to Bruger's Bagel for something light, something quick. It fills you up because it's bagel sandwiches, fresh bagels that they make there, and delicious coffee. But how do you say it? It's not too expensive, and it's delicious, and it fills you up for an amount of hours, and then you can do whatever you need to do later on. So we do that. We went yesterday. I got a baker's dozen, which is 13 bagels along with 2 tubs of their cream cheese in-house. And we got this plain cream cheese because plain cream cheese is always delicious. And we also got this jalapeno cream cheese, which is our absolute favorite. And I still want to make rosemary bread. I haven't tried it yet. But yeah. So we did that yesterday morning. And then today we got up. I made us some coffee. She made us the bagel sandwiches at home. I got this creamer yesterday. It's this Irish creamer, and it's very delicious. No, it's not Irish coffee because I don't have whiskey. But it's just Irish creamer. I don't know. It makes it taste like a shamrock. I don't know how to describe it. It's delicious. It's very delicious, and I'm hoping to actually save money because I'm spending way too much money on coffee from 7-Eleven at this point. It all adds up. Yeah. So other than that, I'll leave you with this. Hey, for everybody living in the United States who's buying into the idea that everything's against you because you're a minority and whatever thing in life that's going on today, your gender, your sexual orientation, how do you call it, your skin tone, your background, anything. that you're a minority of, and you're like, oh, the U.S. hates us. Oh my God, this country is not for the free. It's only free for the certain amount of people. Guess what? The only reason you get to say that is because of the freedom this country gives you. It may not seem like much, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. How do I say that? Major sports events that happen. Not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance or, any of that. Just kneel. You protest. Hey, the USA sucks. Hey, you know what? Screw this place. This sucks. I want to leave. I want to leave. I don't want to be here. Which is funny because people who say, oh, I want to leave the USA. Okay, then go. That's the beauty of the USA. You have the freedom to leave. You have the freedom to renounce your citizenship, become a citizen somewhere else, and leave to that place. Oh, that's not standard anywhere. Believe me. Just look at North Korea. A famous event that happened in North Korea. A North Korean soldier who did not want to be there anymore took one of their vehicles, floored it all the way to the North Korean, South Korean border, and just immediately vacated the vehicle after he crashed it. And his fellow soldiers, which later on in a interview that he did in South Korea, his fellow soldiers, whom he went to their basic together, ended up having to start shooting at him. And he was very close to dying because he got hit multiple times, but he just barely made it to the South Korean border, where South Korean soldiers went, did a mission to rescue him, drag him out, give him aid, yada yada, became a South Korean citizen. And the fact that here in the US you can just leave and no one's just gonna go after you because you don't owe anyone any obligations, that's wild. That's incredible, I mean, the US ain't without its faults, but I mean, like, that's insane. And the fact that you can protest the country too, and you can mock the country's leader, is just phenomenal. Phenomenal, No one's gonna be knocking on your door. Oh, you called Biden? How do you call this? An old man with dementia, or what is that other word? I keep using this other word. Now I'm just drawing a blank. I forgot. It's gonna bug me later when I finish this episode, and I can't forget. And I just remember it once I'm already done editing. I was like, this old man with dementia, huh? Senile. There we go. That's the word. He's senile. And I was like, well, it's time for the prison. They're gonna be breaking rocks. This, and that. No, it's not gonna happen. I can say Biden's senile. That's it. I'm still gonna be free. That's it, because that's the freedom of speech. That's how it works. I can say anything mean about somebody, and I'm not going to go to prison. So what people don't realize is the rights that people simultaneously say they hate, but they can't stop using. Isn't valid for everywhere, because what's her name? Let me put it up. Yeah. Brittany Griner. This has been huge lately, but for the people who haven't heard it, Brittany Griner is a professional WNBA player, Women's National Basketball Association. Spent majority of her time complaining about how she only makes $250,000 a year. Wow, only $250,000. And then it's like, that's nothing compared to what the male basketball players make. This, and that. Yeah. Because the men's basketball draws in crowds. They get more money. So like, let's say there's two taco shops, both of them just right across the street from each other. One of them makes, let's say, like, mediocre tacos, like not even the good crunchy shells or anything like that. They just use generic crunchy shells that have been stored for the last 10 years, some almost old meat, and like, bargain jalapenos, lettuce, tomatoes, yada yada yada. And then you have the other taco shop that has like soft shell tortillas and everything. They make fresh carne asada, like how to say pollo asado, al pastor, birria, lengua, tripa, everything like that. They have the freshest produce, freshest onions, freshest jalapenos. They make salsa in house. They make sure that they have everything top notch, built quality tacos and everything. Which one is gonna draw more of a crowd? You know, obviously it's gonna be the more authentic one, the one with the best stuff. And then you have the other low budget end taco shop being like, oh, I don't get it. Why don't we making enough money like they are? Just look at how you're running things. You have bad produce, bad ingredients, and on top of that, your scheduling is all out of whack. You know, it's like it's not. Nobody's biased, being like, oh, we just want to see this place succeed. It's just this place is better, and if I want something good, I want to go to a place that makes it good. You know? And same thing with the WNBA and the NBA. So apparently people don't understand that. That's how it works. You're not going to be paid $35 million when the entire WNBA barely brings in $10 million, you know? So anyways, Brittany Griner, she goes to Russia. She gets stopped at the airport and everything like that. Turns out she tried to smuggle in marijuana. Marijuana is not legal in Russia. You gotta understand that. So of course she gets arrested. She gets put in jail over there, and now she has to face a Russian judicial system. One thing that she said, or it's been reported that she said, is like, oh, they didn't even read me my rights when I got arrested, because your rights aren't the same over there as they are here. You're under Russian territory. You're gonna abide by Russian law when you're in Russian ground. It's like, so they're not gonna be like, oh, she is coming here visiting from America. What is laws in America again? Let's search internets. And then they're gonna Google or whatever they have over there. And then they'll be like, oh, apparently they have Fifth Amendment right. Means no talk if they do not feel like incriminating oneself. We need to read prior to taking them to the gulag, you know, as people say. No, they're like, hey, you brought foreign narcotics to Russia. Put hands behind back, or I break arms to put hands behind back. So yeah. So she gets arrested. She gets put over there, and then she starts pleading with Biden, with the U.S. Please bring me home. I don't want to be in Russia. I don't want to be here. This, and that. Bring me home. I have rights, yada, yada. Guess what? Your Bill of Rights don't apply in Russia. Not only that, you're asking United States officials to bring you back to the United States? But you hate it here. I thought you hated it. The United States ain't meant for people like you, right? Or people like us. Minorities, we can't thrive in here whatsoever. Oh, but now you want to come back. Oh, because you don't like Russia? Because now you have a taste of what real like, I don't want to say dictatorship, but I feel like that's kind of what it is. what your ideal utopia would be. You're feeling it firsthand. You don't like it, huh? Well, anyways, there was talk that they were going to trade a Russian arms dealer back to Russia for an exchange of her, but I guess that didn't happen because today it was announced that she has been convicted in a Russian court for smuggling narcotics, and she is now sentenced to 9.5 years in a Russian prison. So let's see how the next 9.5 years are gonna go. You know, I'm gonna be 37, possibly 37 years old when I report about her again. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy how life works, you know? Well, anyways, there's not much else that I can say on this topic or anything else. It's been more of a serious episode. I'm sorry I went on a tangent and went to like different thought branches and everything like that. I try and recollect what my original points were and everything, but sometimes I just get lost. Oh, by the way, grocery outlet yesterday, Old Spice, never really wore Old Spice until 2019. I saw that they had this Kraken Guard type of Old Spice, which is basically the Kraken, you know, the old mythological creature. They have this thing called Kraken Guard. They have shampoo, body wash, conditioner, deodorant, body spray. I have the body spray. I had the shampoo and conditioner. I had the body wash, and I had the deodorant. Not all at once, but I did. Yesterday, my lady brought to my attention, hey, look. She showed me a box, and they made a statue of the Kraken. The Kraken looks ugly. It looks like a squid, like an ugly Squidward. Think about handsome Squidward, but the opposite. That's how it looks like. But it's funny. I love it, even though I bought it for myself. Cool thing is you could actually open it up, and it has a deodorant inside. But I'm still keeping it as a novelty and everything. And yeah, I'll post up a picture of it. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I love it. I love that I got it. Man. Anyways, thank you guys again for tuning in for another episode of the Mind of Mando. I have been your host, Armando Ortega, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. See ya.